Friends, welcome to the November reading for Pisces. We're going to do the basic reading here on YouTube, and then if you would like to subscribe over on Patreon, I will have the extended immediately available to you. It's already posted right now, so if that speaks to you, go ahead and check it out. I try to keep it super affordable for everyone. So yeah, check that out if that's your thing. But let's get started on the basic reading. Thanks so much for being here. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. If you celebrate Halloween, hopefully you had a great Halloween. We have the Magician out and looks like maybe 4 other cards. So I'll take them all. Let me grab the one that fell. I'll be right back. This is an interesting set. I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently. Maybe the messages that have been coming through have just been particularly interesting to me. Anyways, let's dive in. We start with the Magician. Very strong energy of manifesting, making things happen. Being in your power. Utilizing your skills. We'll come back to that. We also have Justice in reverse paired with the High Priestess in reverse and the Moon in reverse. A lot of energy. And finally, we have the Four of Pentacles also in the reverse. So I want to start with this middle combination here, because the outside cards on the outside of the reading, they have a different feel about them, but it's telling me to start here. So with this combination, it feels like it's almost like a self-deception going on. I don't think that you're doing it on purpose, but your inability to, it's not even an inability. You have the ability. You have the ability. But maybe there's just this willful ignorance, or like you don't want to see it. There's a misalignment within yourself and you don't want to acknowledge it. So let's dive in one by one. The Justice card in reverse, it feels like a lack of accountability with yourself. So you have these things you know you need to be doing, and you set certain timelines for yourself, or maybe it's daily habits or whatever it is. But you're not holding yourself accountable for actually completing these things. You're just kind of, letting it slide. And that's affecting your integrity, because if you tell people that you're going to be doing this certain thing, or even if the only person that knows that you're supposed to be doing it is yourself, if you're not showing up for yourself and holding yourself accountable, you're not caring for yourself, you're not loving yourself, you're not allowing yourself or giving yourself the opportunity to flourish. So yeah, you're not showing up for yourself. It yelled that at me after I said it. With the High Priestess in reverse, it's this disconnection with your inner voice. I just had this in Aquarius too. So maybe there's some Aquarius in your birth chart. You might want to go check that reading out too. It feels like they might be similarly aligned. So maybe even it's someone that you are entangled with, right? Who's maybe in that energy or this energy, and you're both working very closely and kind of pulling each other in those same habits. So that might be something to look at, but that's just for a few of you. Overall, though, with this High Priestess, it's coming back to that disconnect within yourself. And that it's very easy to happen if you're not holding yourself accountable, especially when it comes to things like daily habits or, completing things on time or whatever. Now, sometimes we go through periods in our lives where, those things that we have been trying to hold ourselves accountable for aren't really the most important thing. And in that case, if that's speaking to you, you're going to have to reassess your priorities and reassess why you've been trying to hold yourself to these things. I say trying to hold yourself to these things, but not really doing that. It's like you have this idea that you should be doing these things and, you set up your structure for it, but then you don't do it. There's a reason you're not doing it. So maybe it's time to reassess that and see where there's that misalignment between should and doing. Yeah. Check that out and see where that leads you, because that could be. Now the moon in reverse, I feel it too. It's like a confusion. The moon in reverse could be, things coming to light, and certainly with this confrontation, it feels like the cards are calling you out and you're like having to confront this part of yourself where maybe you're just feeling an obligation to, whether it's like outside judgment, other people's expectations of you, or just society in general, and this thought that, I should be doing these things every single day or whatever. But that's not coming from you. So it's an inauthentic thing, and it does cause this confusion within you. It causes this kind of internal war between, again, just that external or a perceived external expectation versus your true nature. So it just keeps repeating in my brain, reassess. It's calling you to reassess what's going on in that internal space to find balance again. And, if it does come to daily habits, reassessing what your daily habits should actually be based on your own desires and where you want to go in life, not based on just the shoulds of society or what we perceive to be life. I'll leave that there. There's some weird things going through my head, and we're not going to do that in a general reading. So if that's speaking to you and you want to dive further, head over to my website or email me, and we'll book a one-on-one reading. But this is not the space for that. So I feel like those of you who, you know what I'm talking about. Regardless, we might get some more diving in the extended, but some of those things that were coming through are not things I'm going to talk openly about in my channel. They are more personal, so we're going to leave them for personal. I want to go back to the Magician, because these energies they clash. The Magician knows who he is, knows his power. I say his, it could be male, female, masculine, feminine, doesn't matter. The Magician knows their power. They know who they are. They stand very firm in all of it, and they are a person of creation within all of those aspects. So you get things done despite having these conflicts. What that tells me is that while this can come easy to you, it still has been a little bit of a struggle recently. And maybe you have been thrown and you haven't been able to figure out why. This is why. So the card's calling you out. It's really just, the moon in reverse is a card of bringing things to light. And I feel like that's really what it's doing right now. It's bringing these things to your attention so that you can address them, because in your current state of getting things done and manifesting and making things happen, when we're in that kind of energy, we tend to think that we can just keep going and, nothing's really wrong. Even if something feels a little bit off, sometimes we just kind of steamroll right over that. Don't do that. It'll exacerbate these things and it can turn into a kind of blow up. So again, this is bringing things to light and kind of calling you out, but pay attention to that. The Four of Pentacles in reverse, that can be a few different things. It can point to your materialism and the way that you kind of cling to the possessions in life. So whether that be, physical, tangible possessions that you have, or, sometimes we have this possessiveness about the people in our lives. You really cling to that. And I think that's what's been keeping you just to keep going in this energy, because if you can just keep making things happen, your physical reality around you can stay how it is. Which isn't always a bad thing, but if we're misaligned, then those things aren't necessarily what are going to be serving us best, even if they feel good and comfortable, right? So our clinging to that it's not going to be helpful long term. So again, something to just reassess. Now the flip side of that is you may have been conducting these things out of a self-protection. Again, staying in your comfort spot and knowing that what you have is good enough. And that's true if you want to survive and if you just want to live life, in a very simple way. And I don't mean simple like, just having like bare necessities and all things like that. No, I mean, it seems like you have been in a prosperous state. And that can feel good enough. It feels comfortable. It feels good. But with that misalignment, it's like the core of, it's funny, it's the core of the reading, but it's also the core of your being. And if the core of your being is unsettled, it can make life feel like an earthquake, because you have everything set up how you want it. You're doing fine. But sometimes your whole world shakes, and then, the books come off the shelf and maybe the foundation cracks a little bit. Those things are there anyways. It's just that in those moments of shaking, in the moments where that inner turmoil shakes itself to the surface, those are I don't remember what they call it, but it's like the pre-quake. It's a foreshadowing. It hasn't been bad yet. You're still in a good spot and you still feel good through all of it. But the more we just kind of ignore it and say, there's two ends of the spectrum here, because I just heard, like in California where they keep saying like, oh yeah, the next big quake could happen anytime and we're overdue for it and all of that kind of thing. So that's where you throw yourself into anxiety and worry and all of that. And I don't see that for you. But the opposite is equally as distracting and damaging, where we just ignore it. And we say, oh, yeah, those probably just the little tiny earthquakes we're used to having, maybe some aftershocks or whatever. It's no big deal. It's no big deal until it is a big deal. And the time is coming where if you don't address these things, it will become a big deal. I just realized that we're about at 15 minutes. So we're going to wrap this up. Let me go ahead and grab a quick advice card. I'm really excited to dive into the extended for this because it feels like there's a lot more to be said here. Even though we've already said quite a bit, I feel like the storyline is very valuable here for the people that the message is meant for. So, okay, that was like 5, but there is one that is sticking up. So let's pull that one. It says, the moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. You can't make this stuff up. Realignment. And it's not love in the romantic sense. That's not what I'm feeling. It's the love of yourself. The love of your highest self, your best version of yourself. If you can love that version of yourself and really strive to support yourself into being that version of you, that's where you're going to find the magic. And you already are a master manifester. So once you hit that space, you're really going to find magic. Things will fall into place for you more quickly than they ever have. But you need to bring yourself back into alignment. Okay? So if this is where we part ways, that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if I see you over on Patreon, let's keep going. I'm excited. I love you lots. Bye.